Alright, so 1990 Honda Accord with that engine, whatever it is, 2.2 4-cylinder. Anywho, charging system problems. This thing did not get me to work this morning. And problem is in the connector right there at the alternator. I have the oscilloscope hooked up to the battery here. And you can see that I got, where is it at? Charging voltage, barely, 12.8 volts. So yeah, I'm battery voltage, no charging output right now. But if I, see that? Just by wiggling this harness right there, see, now I got charging voltage again. Yeah, trying to get that to focus. So now I'm charging, but if I'm wiggling that thing around, see that drop down. You can even hear the load changing on the alternator, on the engine, just by wiggling it around. So I have to figure out, clearly there's a bad connection in here. I have to figure out if the connection is in the plug, or if it's the contacts between this plug and the alternator, or if the bad connection is inside the alternator. So I just have to kind of try to isolate what's wiggling, such as holding the plug harness firm and then only wiggling the wire, nothing. But if I wiggle the plug, probably it's the contacts between the alternator and that plug harness is what I'm thinking. Now the phone's not doing this justice, but those contacts don't look that good. Alright, so this is one that I cut from a wrecking yard, another 90 Accord. You can see that looks way better. Now granted, this doesn't have dielectric shoved in there. This one does on the vehicle here. Those contacts look like they might be spread and burnt. I might try to stick something in here and try to get them to clamp down a little bit better. Alright, so I believe I've confirmed that it is the contacts in here that are spread and not biting down on the spade connectors or contacts on the alternator. I took this little guy and kind of shoved it in there and just kind of squeezed them in a little bit as best I can, just to make a better, tighter connection, hopefully. And we try that. Get that plugged in here. I'll start it up. Alright, so with that plugged in, looking at the oscilloscope, he still moves around, but it does actually seem to be a lot more stable. You can see on the scope there, moving it around. Clearly it's still not really fixed, but the problem isn't as bad. It's a little bit more difficult to get it to lose connection. So to me, that pretty well confirms that it is in fact the plug harness on the wiring harness side. So I could work at this more and try to get those contacts to bite back down, try to bend them back into place. Oh yeah, look at that. But my experience says that oftentimes, you know, they're already fatigued and weak and old, so I would feel a lot better about putting this one in place. So that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so got the new, quote-unquote, harness soldered in. This is a self-adhesive interlined heat shrink. Love that stuff. Anyway, when I cut this, you notice how my soldering is not all in the same spot. I kind of staggered them. That is on purpose for a reason, because the solder is kind of bulky and possibly going to be prone to eventually wearing through the heat shrink and insulation, so you really don't want them next to each other, all cut in the same spot. Plus, it just makes it more bulky too once you wrap it if you do cut it in the same spot. So if you have the length to work with, which I gave myself plenty of, as much as I could at least, this will help keep it from being bulky once it gets wrapped. Alright, there it is. Repair is pretty much complete. Alright, and she's running. Charging voltage on the scope looks pretty good. I'll take this, wiggle it around. See if I can. That is way better. Way better. I think that's a fix for sure. Yeah. I'll have to get some electrical tape and wrap it up a little better, but we're good to go. Sweet. We are pushing, yeah, 14 volts. That's excellent.